Finally, we're back in the Indian River. So this year we were saying about 6,000 ounces.
Minutes ago, Tony Beets found millions of gold at Paradise Hill, but a big flood almost stopped him.
Just had the inspector over, and guess what? I guess I better learn how to read, because we missed something in the license.
He came up with a quick plan to move 1 million gallons of water using huge pipes. As his team worked hard, the danger grew every minute. What scary things are hiding in the deep water? Tune in as we find out if Tony's quick thinking brings him a huge treasure or big trouble. The strange challenges of mining. Getting rid of excess water is very important in mining. This process, called dewatering, is used to remove water that builds up from things like underground springs or heavy rain. This isn't just needed to keep the mining work going. It's also crucial to prevent flooding, which can cause major damage and stop operations. How miners handle water depends on where the mine is and what the ground is like. Most of the time, they use powerful pumps to move large amounts of water and dirt, which helps keep the site safe and productive. As the miners dug deeper, they unexpectedly hit a hidden underground lake. The water began to rise rapidly, threatening to flood the tunnels. But the trouble didn't end there. As the engineers dug deeper into a newly opened section of the mine, they heard a whirring sound of rushing water. It was a clue that there might be an unknown underground river nearby that could ruin all their efforts. And this wasn't the only challenge.
If you really got to move a volume of water, you pop them in there, they let it, it's all gone.
Mining can have serious effects on the environment if not managed well. Issues like water pollution and changing the land can harm local wildlife and the surrounding communities. Tony's effort not only tackles the flooding problem, but also tries to reduce environmental damage by controlling pollution and keeping the mining site's impact as low as possible. Once the water was drained, Tony planned to dig out the final layer of dirt to reach the untouched soil that was believed to have gold in it. This step was a big one for him, and he felt nervous because, even though he had watched others do this kind of work, it was his first time doing it alone. Meanwhile, Tony's youngest son, Mike, had an important job too. He needed to connect 5 long sections, each about 20 feet, of a strong plastic pipe. These pipes were known for being tough. They could even handle being hit by a bulldozer without breaking. But Mike ran into a problem when the machine that was supposed to smooth the pipe ends stopped working. Getting the ends smooth was crucial to connect the pipes properly. The situation got more difficult when Mike realized that every delay in smoothing the pipe ends was putting them further behind.
I've been around and watched other people do it, but this is the first time I've ever done it.
After a lot of effort, he finally managed to get the ends ready. Then, he had to heat a metal plate up to 400 degrees Fahrenheit and place it between the pipes to melt and join them together. This step was very important because only then could they drain the mining site quickly and get ready to start searching for gold. This was a key moment in their project, but it wasn't the only challenge they would face. They were about to see if all their hard work would really pay off in gold. That same day, another team member, Aaron, had his own problems. He accidentally hit a pole, turning a simple job into a big headache. To make things worse, his truck got stuck in a far-off area, causing a huge traffic jam. It felt like a big ship blocking a small canal, causing everything to come to a standstill. Fixing this mess and getting the trucks moving again became the top priority. The team was ready for a new season, not knowing their biggest find was coming up: triumph at Indian River. To clear the path properly, Aaron had to be very careful and precise with every move. He worked hard and got everyone back on track. This unexpected problem came up early in the season, which made it even tougher to deal with, but Aaron handled it well. He knew he was the first to face such an issue this year, but he was sure others would run into similar problems soon. As the season moved along and hit the halfway mark, the team had a moment of success. They discovered gold at Indian River, which was a big deal because no gold had been found there in 4 years. Even finding tiny pieces of gold made everyone excited and proud. Tony, the team leader, gathered everyone to celebrate this achievement. When they returned to Indian River, the team felt energized and had a clear goal: find more gold. The area was set up properly, and they were ready to dig. Their hard work paid off when they uncovered 6 large gold flakes. Those shiny bits were a nice reward for all the time and effort they put in.
That looks pretty nice,
1, 2, 3, 4, 6.
6? It's amazing how coarse that is.
Now fully prepared, the team was ready to start the next phase of their project. They set up the wash plant, which was the last step before digging out even more gold. Everyone felt a mix of excitement and confidence, thinking they were just one step away from a very successful season. But things didn't always go smoothly. The most memorable moment so far was taking a helicopter ride over the site. At this point in the season, Tony Beets realized he was far behind his goal of 3,000 ounces of gold. Gold prices were higher than ever, which pushed Tony to work even harder. Out in the remote Yukon, he was determined to make the most of a promising area. But that wasn't the only challenge. The team faced a lot of ups and downs, testing their patience and skills in ways they hadn't expected. In the world of equipment that can change how industries work, there's a device called a portable wash plant. It's often referred to as a trommel. This machine is used in many fields like mining to sort and filter materials based on size. The main part of a trommel is a rotating drum, which spins to separate items. It's used in places like mines, recycling plants, and even waste management facilities. Though it might seem like a modern invention, the trommel actually has an interesting background.
Oh, you seen that there, Kevin? Does that look like quite a contraption to you or what?
That looks like a lot of something.
Looks like something I would buy.
Yeah, it definitely does.
It started as a musical instrument before people realized it could be used in other ways. Trommels can be made from different materials, like metal, plastic, or rubber, depending on what they'll be used for. They can be set up at an angle or laid flat, depending on the job. In mining, trommels are really important for sorting different materials like dirt, rocks, and sand. They're especially useful for gold mining as they help separate tiny gold pieces from larger rocks and debris. There are different types of trommels. Some are fixed in place for big operations, while others are portable, making them ideal for smaller tasks. Some newer models even have vibrating systems to make it easier to separate very small particles. But sorting materials is just one part of the story. Running a trommel can come with many challenges. Keeping them in good shape requires regular maintenance. You have to replace screens and bearings often to keep them working well. Beyond the upkeep, they can be expensive to buy and install. Plus, they're noisy and produce a lot of dust, which means extra steps are needed to keep the work environment safe. The high cost and maintenance, however, are only the beginning of the issues. Lifted by their success, they now had to move heavy machines across tough terrain. The tough trek to treasure. One big challenge is moving these machines. For example, imagine trying to get a trommel across a stream without getting it wet. In one case, Tony and his team had to carefully navigate icy waters, stepping through deep spots to transport it. The trommel wasn't just heavy, it had hydraulic motors on each wheel, giving it some ability to move on its own. This shows just how complex these machines can be and how challenging it is to keep them running smoothly. The machine was carefully designed to dig through the soil and sort out the dirt to find valuable materials, processing large amounts of earth to reach the gold-rich layers underneath. There was some fine-tuning needed, but they hoped this machine, called the trommel, would soon be up and running. The risks were high, but the rewards could be even higher. Tony had been interested in this equipment for a long time and had finally managed to buy it at a price much lower than the typical $1 million tag. If the trommel worked well, it could change everything for them. If it didn't, at least they would know they tried. But the hard part was just getting started. Moving the trommel back to their base was not going to be easy.
Checking the tire pressure so that we know we got to pump them up a bit, because we're going to pull those legs up to get it lower.
Far from Paradise Hill, Tony and his team gathered at Moose Creek to get ready for the big move. With everyone set and the team pumped up, they knew this would be a huge operation. It looked tough, but they were ready to take it on. And yet, this was only the beginning of many challenges they'd have to face to find gold. During one thrilling part of their journey, Joe guided Tom along a tricky path by a creek, going back over a trail he had taken before. As Tom made his way along the track, the natural sounds around them almost felt like a soundtrack, making their journey feel like a scene from a movie. A little later, Mike set off on his own trip into unexplored areas. He couldn't believe how endless it all felt. As he walked, something interesting appeared in the distance, catching his attention. The trek was tiring, and Mike jokingly said it felt like he needed to learn how to walk again, his legs wobbling like jelly after the long hike. During their tough journey, things take a turn for the worse when Mike accidentally damages a wheel rim while trying to make a sharp turn. This costly mistake adds even more pressure to an already stressful situation.
Well, first we're gonna get the D6 attached to the frame. This is gonna get attached to the trommel, and the 220's excavator is gonna get attached to the trommel.
Meanwhile, Tony, the leader of the group, is focusing on an even bigger challenge, moving a huge 35-ton mining machine from Moose Creek within just 3 days. He comes up with a plan to break it down piece by piece, starting with the conveyor and ending with the massive 20-ton drum. As the team moves forward, Tony carefully guides them through each step as they lift the heavy conveyor using a pipe layer. This part of the job is tricky, requiring precise instructions and careful handling. They manage to separate the conveyor, giving the team a much-needed boost of confidence. But Tony reminds everyone to stay alert. There's still a long way to go. Happy but tired, the team faced detailed work that needed careful attention, precision under pressure. By the end of the day, the team looks back at what they've accomplished, feeling satisfied with the progress they've made. Back at their base, Parker shows them around the simple bunkhouse where they'll be staying. He quickly chooses a bed with a slightly better mattress, making sure he gets a little more comfort after their tiring day. With a playful comment about privacy, he jokingly kicks his teammates out of his small room, ending the day on a lighthearted note. Parker then wraps up, encouraging everyone to keep up with their journey on Discovery Australia. But things don't get easier. The team's operations feel like a carefully planned dance. Only this one's on solid ground instead of a stage. The current job isn't about speed, but about taking slow, precise actions. Mike stays alert, knowing that even a small mistake could make things go from bad to worse in a second. Every move they make is calculated, almost like they're choreographing each step. The huge machine looms over them, reminding everyone of how serious their task is. The crew has paused their work for now, waiting for the right moment to handle the main job ahead. Right now, they're focused on placing a culvert, which is an important step with all the snow and ice melting. It's urgent because the water in the creek will only keep rising as the thaw continues. They want to get the culvert set before the stream becomes too hard to manage. The large culvert is carefully lifted and moved over to the creek while everyone stays alert, making sure everything goes as planned and stays safe. They clear mud off their tools and make small adjustments. They take off the chains and check if the culvert is lined up properly. If it's not in the right spot, they're ready to push it into place. This culvert is a massive piece, weighing 20 tons and measuring 6 tons long. It has to be centered perfectly so water can flow under the road without any trouble. They slowly push it into position, making small shifts until it sits just right. But that's not the end of it. The next part is to build up the bank and pack the area around the culvert. This needs to be flat and strong to support the road above. If they don't do this properly, water could erode the base of the culvert and cause big problems later. Mike works quickly to reinforce the road and make sure the culvert is held in place. Timing is key for this task. Any delay could make the job harder and future repairs even more difficult. Taking too long might undo all the progress they've made so far. This gives them a short break before the next big challenge they have to face. Mike prepares for the next step, setting up the equipment so the trucks can move in and start unloading, hoping to speed up the work. Meanwhile, Charlie uses extra materials from the rock trucks to build a small dam, and Mike raises the road around the culvert to make sure there's enough dirt. As they expanded the road, it was now wide enough for 2 vehicles to pass side by side. This upgrade meant trucks could easily cross the creek without getting stuck in the water, solving a big problem they faced with transporting goods. When they got back to the Indian River, there was a sense of excitement in the air. They had successfully moved most of their team and were getting ready for the next steps. Over the following days, their plan was to expand the mining area and build a processing site. Their goal was to extract 6,000 ounces of gold, but they knew this was just the beginning, and bigger challenges were still to come. Challenges kept coming, putting both the machines and Parker to the test. Trials in the Yukon. Parker, who had spent years handling heavy equipment in the Yukon, knew how frustrating machinery problems could be, especially when you're far away from any repair shops. One day, while digging at the money pit, Their main D11 bulldozer broke down in a really tough spot. This meant Parker had to bring in another bulldozer just to reach the one that had stopped working since it was too far for their regular service trucks to get to. When Mitch showed up, he immediately saw how serious the issue was. The ripper cylinder on the bulldozer had broken completely, with the barrel completely separated from its base. This left the blade stuck deep in the mud, making it impossible to move. As Mitch looked at the broken machine, he couldn't help but think about his bad luck showing up just when things got this complicated. One of the two cylinders controlling the ripper had snapped. To fix this and get the blade out of the mud, they needed a new cylinder. Mitch quickly came up with a plan to clear some of the dirt around it so they could get to the broken part and replace it more easily. It was a tough job, but we finally managed to move the bulldozer just enough to start the repairs. Everyone felt a wave of relief when it budged a little. Our mechanic, Jordan, grabbed a spare cylinder from our storage. It wasn't the exact type, it was from a different model, a Model 11R. But we crossed our fingers it would work. Fitting the new part wasn't easy. We also had to replace the broken hydraulic lines. The cylinder we picked had been sitting unused for years, and all we could do was hope it still worked. After 5 tough hours of repairs under the wide Yukon sky, our D11 was running and ready to go. Over the next 6 days, Parker Schnobel's crew worked nonstop. When they started finding gravel, they knew Parker would be excited. In just 1 week, they hit the key gold-rich layer they were looking for. You could feel the excitement as they dug up the gravel at the Dominion site. The plan was simple: thaw the ground, set up the wash plant, and find the gold they believed was there. Parker had spent 10 years building his mining business in the Yukon while living in a trailer. But now, after getting the Dominion site, he was finally able to buy his first house. The thrill of owning a home was fresh and exciting, making it a perfect time for a housewarming party. As the party got going, Parker jokingly warned the folks at the back of the bus about the bumpy road ahead, while everyone else laughed and cheered. The air was full of energy, but Parker couldn't help but tease them about the danger of a rough bus ride, a situation everyone wanted to avoid. But this wasn't the real concern. They all knew there were bigger challenges waiting at the site. Is the pursuit of wealth worth the personal sacrifices? Let us know what you think. If you enjoyed this glimpse into Parker's life, don't forget to like, leave your comments, and subscribe for more.